first drive up. But very much appreciate him coming up. As I told Cheryl, I'm not even gonna begin to ask you how the last couple of weeks have been. On the same token, when we went out and we select an insurance company, I like to say that we hire an insurance company. It's not just a commodity. And I think the fact that Scott came up and is a testament to what I know we're gonna see out of Acuity from the Whitespire end of things. So I'm gonna try to keep my big mouth shut to address it.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you for hosting us.
I'm sorry for the small rule. We'll get through it.
And again, just so everyone understands, my role is I'm the insurance person representing Acuity, and we insure the board, we insure the condo association. So one thing I've learned through my many years of doing this is communications go from owners, the board to me, because that way we keep everyone in the same loop and we're not getting different information and we're not all getting bombarded with different questions, with 3 or 4 different times the same question. So the board, you guys have questions, you'll go to the board and the board will correspond with me. That's the easiest way for us to do this. As far as the whole process, it takes a while to run through it. It does. Nothing's going to happen for you in even 6 weeks. I mean, we'll be moving forward, but you need to temper your expectations on how fast a new building is going to be there if that's the route you choose to go. So these are my cautionary words from claims I've had before, and I know your expectations are, let's keep this moving, let's get this going, and we certainly will. From our standpoint, we'll keep everything moving. There's a few steps that come first, and again, I'll go over the process with you. Before we leave, I'll want to there's a few people I need to verify which unit you're in and your insurance carrier, and we're gonna leave that into the first thing that's gonna happen. First thing that'll happen is the site is currently being held for what's called an origin and cause investigation to see if we can determine what caused the fire. Everybody has their thoughts, everybody has what they heard. This investigation would contain representatives who's not from Acuity, that Acuity hired. We hire origin and cause investigators, we'll hire electrical engineers. Many of your insurance companies will do the same. That's why what I need is the information so we can reach out to them and say, we're having an inspection this day. You're welcome to attend if you want to. As people, trust me, you don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. It's an undertaking with many different people doing the same job. Many people looking to say they got an electrical engineer. We're going to look at the different things. So once we figure out what caused the fire, then the scene can be released, and that's when physical activity can start happening at the building. So from Acuity standpoint, I am a conduit, and kind of, for lack of a better word, I'm the checkbook. It's your money, but I am the guardian of that money, and you will decide how that money gets spent, not me. So we've got a couple of different buckets, since like with your homeowner or with your unit owner's policies, you've got a couple buckets there. You've got all your stuff, and then there should be another bucket for, I gotta live someplace else. And some of you may have some coverage for interior. You may have some coverage for the building itself. Acuity insures the entire building from the tippy top to the tippy bottom, side to side, and everything in between. That was changed a couple years ago in your bylaws. If any of you were involved in a water loss from, I think it was 2021, that worked out different. You had the way, and that's the way the bylaws were set up. You were responsible for everything inside the stud walls in your units. Your board made what I always say is the best decision around. You don't want to deal with that. And I think you figured out from when it happened, the headaches that can develop. This way you're working with one insurance company and one contractor, repairer, rebuilder who's gonna take care of that building. As far as the coverage is, you've guys got $1,956,161. That's the limit on the building. There is also additional money for debris removal to clean it up. So there's $100,000 that's in addition to the 1.9 for cleaning it up. And there's a small amount not small amount, $25,000 for fire department service charge. And most of this is for you. You're gonna be the one getting these bills and whatnot, you'll forward those to me. So, as we're gonna do the origin and cause, we're gonna figure out what happened. I don't decide what you're gonna do. You guys, however your condo declarations, rules work, you're gonna decide, are we gonna rebuild this? Are we not gonna rebuild this? How's it gonna work? That's not my concern. My concern is, I will say, we need to figure out how much it's gonna cost to rebuild it. And that obviously can take a while as well. It's not a small job. Everyone's gonna have an opinion on someone who can help, someone who can do this. I don't recommend this is undertaken by anyone than a major sized general contractor. It's a big job. This isn't someone's garage burned up, we can have somebody in here. This is a major rebuild. And you wanna make sure that the person who does it is capable of doing it, but that's your decision on who you hire. I will hire a construction consultant to work with that builder to come up with what is the fair price to rebuild your condominium, again, if that's the route you choose. Has there been any discussion as far as what you are going to do?
According to our bylaws, we have to have 1/3 of the homeowner's approval and 1/3 of the mortgagee holder's approval to rebuild.
To rebuild, okay,
Yeah.
so out of 8,
Cheryl, that says unit owners. Is that unit owners of the 8, or is that unit owners of the 116?
Of the 116,
That's what I
yep.
thought too.
okay.
So I don't think there's gonna be a problem.
Right, I've never had one where they have not rebuilt. It's your home, it's where you live.
Yep.
Who's gonna say, no, I don't want to rebuild, I'll go, no. So,
Right.
all right, so we'll go forward with the thought, gonna rebuild. So again, then it will be up to you to select the contractor to do this. And you begin your search, maybe through the agency, they may insure somebody, or they may insure a subcontractor who works with, I don't know who a big builder is up here, Jack's, the biggest builder up here. You work with them, there are blueprints, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so that obviously makes it easy for them as well, that they can go through the blueprints. The way the insurance will work is, we'll pay to put it back as it was. I don't know how many of you have had,
Updates.
right, when it was built, it had carpeting throughout. Some of you over time have said, I'm taking out carpeting, I'm putting in luxury vinyl floor, all these kind of things. And you work with each other to figure out, okay, here's what was in my unit, so when the contractor gets you the bid, he's able to say, in these units, this is what you had, this is what you get. This opens a can of worms, but I know people are gonna ask, if you wanna change things, that's all after we have an agreement on putting it back as it was. So if you decide you wanna put in solid gold plumbing fixtures, then you go to your contractor and say, in my unit, I'm putting in solid gold fixtures, how much more how's that gonna affect me? How much am I gonna have to pay? But that's all up to you as individuals. There's gonna be some of you who the unit is exactly as it was when you bought it, and you're fine with, and you're done. But it is allowable for you to make changes, but again, that's not on Acuity's dime or the association's dime, changes would be on your dime.
But at this point, Acuity is gonna pay for the drywall, the carpet, the cabinetry, the fixtures, everything inside the unit.
Everything that you, everything except your personal property, correct, correct.
The,
Okay.
the appliances are on you, on the property owner. not on
Generally,
us.
yes. Now, appliances can get a little dicey because a built-in appliance generally goes on the building.
The
So your
dishwasher.
dishwasher, if you had microwaves, those two would generally go on the building. The wash machine, dryer, refrigerator generally go on the personal property. The easy way I always say is if you took that building, flipped it upside down and shook it, all the stuff that fell out is not on the building. That's your personal property. So if it's attached to the building, you know, which would be towel bars, mirrors, everything that would be attached to the building and generally stay when you move, and that's where appliances get a little fishy, is most times people don't move their appliances, but they can, so that's why they would go under your,
Other than the dishwasher.
yeah, a dishwasher, and again, if there was a built-in microwave.
So the original, like light fixtures, that type of thing would be.
Yep, and
Yeah,
again, they'll
if you
use,
wanted something more, you would pay the difference.
correct, and what they'll do is they'll provide a budget to say, if it's, when it was built, this is the range, you know, if they call it a builder's grade, if they call it a medium, whatever it is, that's what it's gonna get bid out on. And just like if you would say, while they're building a condo, you'd go, hey, I wanna build a condo, I wanna buy one of these, and they tell you, all right, it's $180,000, that's how much we're building them for. Then you go in there and say, well, I want, bop, 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 and they change that and add it, and then, again, you, obviously in that case, you're paying everything, but there's a standard level, and then whatever you wanna upgrade to, again, is on you guys.
Question.
Yes,
What if you already upgraded the, say, your countertops and stuff like that? That doesn't matter, you don't take that into account?
no, that I'm still on then.
Okay.
I would pay that, I'd pay it as that building sits there. That's covered, so yes, if you had put in,
Up to 1.956.
up to, exactly,
Yeah.
up to that, and that's
Yeah.
where, I don't know how your individual policies would react if there's a shortfall. See, and one of the things I know that goes through your heads is, well, I don't know how we're supposed to know what we're gonna do. We don't know how much it's gonna cost to replace it. You know, if for some reason you get a bid and the bid is $2.5 million, there is a problem, but I don't know how many of you have building coverage on your, on your unit owner policies. You know, some do. I know who's Elizabeth. Okay, Elizabeth, you're with Acuity,
I can see that.
right? Eric. So Eric knows, I know you have, there's coverage there for the building. How that would react if there's a shortfall, I don't know. And that's what you're gonna deal with each one of your individual units for.
Is that called the additions and alterations on the policy? Is that what you're referring to for the,
Well,
individual?
yes and no. A lot of times, what's funny about a condo association policy is the declarations dictate the coverage, which is,
The bylaws.
I'm sorry, the bylaws, the bylaws dictate the insurance coverage. So it's one of those things where it's a kind of a different concept to think about, is that, well, my bylaw says this, well, then that's what we cover. And my bylaws say this, then that's what we cover. So in yours, again, when the board changed the wording, you can describe a unit. We'll get into a lot of issues with other insurance companies. You're trying to describe a unit. You know, let's say your unit is this box of air from here in. The association is this. That's what's nice about your policy. We don't have to concern ourselves with what's a unit, what's this, what's that. It's, here's how this goes back. And again, you've got your $1.95 million. How is that gonna get spent to put the building back to the position it was before the loss? Again, I can't say it's a perfectly smooth process, there's no issues. because we don't know. At rough look, you go 8 units, $250,000 a unit to build that approximately. In my opinion, that doesn't seem like it's not a realistic number. But I'm not the contractor, I'm not the builder. I just say, as I look at different claims along my way, that is not a number that I look at and go, oh, these people are in trouble. I don't.
I would agree. I actually even ran a CoreLogic report on it, and it came spot on where you were.
Right, okay, so that's a good, now, how that translates to real world,
Right.
we gotta wait and see. But at least I can sit here and tell you, I don't see major issue. Now, well, I sure hope I'm not wrong, that for some reason, and we know costs have gone up, everything's different now than it was 2 or 3 years ago. I'm trying to visualize in my head today, and I'm visualizing, I don't see this as, as it sits, a major problem. But we'll, again, that's down the road for us to figure that part out.
Can I ask a silly question? So on a smaller scale, we talked about fire department service charges. I
Mhm.
really don't know what the cost of fire department service charges are, but because you have technically, well, I guess that would be, there's there may be fire department service charges built into the individual, personal lines, units, the condo
Could be.
policies. How does that work? I mean, we've got, what did we say, we had 25?
25.
1,000
Generally
plus.
speaking, the insurance company, the fire department takes the amount of money that was available. If you have 25,000 and they bill you 10, they're gonna take their 10 and be happy.
Right.
If you have 25,000 and they bill you 55, they generally, and I say almost always, take the 25 and they're done. That's it. I mean, when you think about a fire department service charge, you pay taxes, you pay for these services. Then when they give you the service, then they come out and say, oh yeah, now you gotta pay for us to have responded to the fire. Which seems, all right, well, don't I pay taxes every year? But it's what they do, it's how it works, and I don't have a problem with it because Acuity's got way more money than the volunteers or the fire department has. So if they come to us and say, we put out this fire and we lost this, we lost that, we're gonna bill you for this, we take care of it. We don't get in a big fight about it. That's a tool, that's not a service charge. They send you a bill, we take care of it for you.
Thank you. It was just
Yep,
curious.
yep.
There was several fire departments there, so are we gonna get?
You could,
information?
you could.
That was my next question.
Volunteers usually, almost assuredly, will send something. If it's a city of Wausau, they may or may not. You know, a lot of times the municipalities don't.
Yeah, I think they were there.
They're-
Yeah, my question is, because they were called back a
Yeah,
couple
they-
of times, do
yeah.
we have a fee each time they were called back? Because I know a fire, agent was there, yeah, and he called in and they needed to get back because
Yeah, I
it was
thought about
starting
that
out.
too.
Yep.
So, I know for sure 2 times.
Well, again, generally, it's not assured that they're going to send something. They don't, it's not that we came out here, they'll say, fire services, here's the bill. I don't know that, I've never seen one where, and the fires rekindle all the time, you know, so they come back out again and again. I've never had someone send something to say, yep, we were out there 3 times, we're billing you 3 times, so. And again, I've never had one go after my insured because the amount they wanted was more than the amount was available on the policy. They just don't do it. I think that's bad public policy. Again, to say, well, look, what do my taxes do? If you're billing me, what do my taxes do? Again, Acuity, the insurance industry doesn't say that. We say, look, this is what it is, that's what they're billed for, we'll take care of that. Forgot the most important thing when I started, I was supposed to say, I may not have every answer to every question you have. I will jot it down, and I'll get back to the board to disseminate that information if there's something I don't know. I'm going to try really hard not to give you an answer I don't know as a guess. I don't want to do that. I don't want to put something in your heads and you go, well, you said, and then I have to come back and say, well, that's incorrect. Again, we'll work with all your all your owner policies to get our event scheduled. Do that. Then in the meantime, why things wait, this is where in the background, you can start now, you can start today. Let me go get a couple of the larger demolition companies in Wausau and see, have them come and give bids. How much would it cost you to X, Y, Z? I don't know if your slab is reusable, I don't know how the plumbing, the electrical, I don't know how all that runs down through there. So they may came out and say, we really can't just strip this off here. Everything goes down. We have I believe you have radiant heat in the slabs.
Yep.
Probably, the fire's all up high. It's probably not melted or anything, but all the ins and outs are gonna be difficult to try and strip away a building and save that. So that may just be, nope, everything has to come out. But again, you have to look at cost in the end of the day. I know some of them, you can look at some pictures and go, well, this garage looks okay. You know, we could use, you don't build an 8-unit structure off of a garage. We don't, we just don't do that. If there was a garage that's untouched, we don't go, well, this garage is perfectly, no, that's not the way they build. Now, if 2 garages burn, yeah, we're gonna save the rest of the building and build on, but you don't go from a garage to a giant structure. So, and when you talk to contractors to entertain bids, you let them know probably everything gone, we're talking slab up, let's go.
What was in that bump, I call it a bump out, it was like where all the.
Pump house. That's where your.
Utility room,
Is that where the?
Boiler room.
Yeah, boiler room.
Furnace, hot water heater.
Mechanical.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
water
Yeah.
softener.
And the alarm box was in there.
Yep.
I thought that, I just wanted to.
It worked, that's important.
That's
Yeah.
right, it worked. Well, I wasn't for
Yeah, did you hear it where you were?
it. No, I only heard Jamie's call.
Rude awakening.
Yeah.
So, I don't ever wanna make it seem as this is not a big deal. It's, for you guys, it's a huge deal. For me, this is what I do, so if I seem matter of fact, really, that's just, I'm trying to put you at ease that this is not as big of a disaster from how do we keep things moving. Obviously, it's a huge disaster for everything that got lost, and I don't ever try and say that is the biggest part here, but from a claim standpoint, we're sitting okay with how everything's gonna get done. I believe everybody had insurance, right? Okay, and that's something to get a little more information, there's a few people who I haven't gotten the information yet. But that makes things certainly easier as well, that you're not dealing with, with anybody uninsured.
I have a question.
Sure.
What about the siding on 7325?
Yep. That will have to be addressed as well. Yep.
Okay.
That's part of this claim though, too.
Yes, it's part of this.
Part of the 1.9.
No,
Oh,
Separate claim?
it's,
Yeah.
well, it's same claim, separate limit. Each one of your buildings has
Each building has
a limit of insurance, right?
That siding won't eat away at your 1 point.
No.
whatever
Okay.
was
No.
calculated there.
That's a little better.
Separate building, separate deductible.
No,
Really?
that's the other thing. We got one event, one deductible.
Okay. And that was,
I believe it's
25.
25, yep, that's what I thought,
Okay.
$2,500. Now, if for some reason we get to 1,960,000, which would be above your 1,956,000, then your deductible is waived, because you can't put a deductible when the loss is greater than the amount of insurance available. So, again, it's that chair off the Titanic, and a big claim like this is $2,500, so, but it would only be assessed one time.
We did get one quote already, it's 36,000
For,
for replacing the siding
Siding
and all
on
that.
7325.
On the one that didn't burn,
The one that didn't
other
burn.
building, 7325.
25.
okay, and well, now, are they reciting the whole building?
Nope, just that one side.
Is that one side? All right, well, and again, we'll take a look, I mean, you get that to me, I'll take a look at it, I'll make sure that it seems within reason.
That ain't gonna work.
Um,
It'll be
Was there,
ugly.
did anybody go up on the roof?
That'll be ugly. That siding's not gonna match the rest of it.
He's got desert sand, Brian's gonna give me a quote too, I trust him, but,
Yeah, here, and
It'd be nice to
That's
have the
all.
whole thing done, but
yeah,
the issue is,
I don't know if he's seen that.
especially in light of its age.
that's the one that's, oh yeah, Melson, okay, so all this, all these things.
And
are
around the
melted.
garage doors and
Yep,
everything.
yep. Sure, yeah, you certainly give me that information.
Okay.
I have not been to the building yet, I've seen enough pictures, I know exactly,
Yeah,
you know, what we're dealing with on that, but I'll get over there and take a look, and it's set up as a separate claim number, but it's the same claim.
okay.
That's just how, it's how Acuity does it,
All
right. Are
each
you-
building,
I'm sorry.
no problem, each building has its own claim. If you had a tornado come
Hate
through
when
here
people do that,
and
sorry.
take care of 7 buildings, you're gonna have 7 claim numbers, but it's one claim as a whole, so.
You aware that there are 2 units there where we've moved out?
Moved out of,
Our
7325.
apartments for restoration.
Inside the building.
oh, inside yours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that again, that's your.
Yeah.
Yep. Is there interior damage?
Or, well, it's
Smell.
smoke and
It's
chemical.
Okay, smoking and chemical,
Yeah.
yep. Then they may have to get a restoration contractor in there to take a look
Yeah,
and.
it's happening.
Yep,
I
okay.
just wanted to make you.
Oh, yeah, yep,
Okay.
okay, I know, I didn't know people had moved out.
So would they tell you they can't really
They can't do anything though until the
tell the
building's
building's
raised.
down?
Well, a lot, and right, that's a big thing, is that smell.
Yeah.
Sits there
It sure
until the
does.
building gets taken care of.
Yeah.
You can't, right, exactly, yep. I guess, what questions and concerns and worries do you have? Because, again, from my standpoint, you're gonna get a bid to put it back as it was, we're gonna work with our consultant, make sure everything is up to snuff, and then you go ahead.
I have a major question.
Yes,
One of the restoration people said that we need to get a fence around there because if anyone goes in there, it'd be on the association's insurance if something happens to them.
we deal with that all the time, and it's not necessarily the case. If someone goes into a place that's unsafe, that they shouldn't be, and they're not invited in, that's on them. But if we wanna put up a fence, we certainly can, if that would make everybody more comfortable, we get a fence and put the fence around
I'm a
there.
proponent of the fence
Yep.
because we've had too many
Stalkers.
people, and people that wanna get in. And like, I followed the fire department's advice. They told me I am totally unstructurally, my structure is terrible to even think about. But yet, they're driving up off the street to look at our burnt out units.
Constantly.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is taped off.
Yeah.
That
It
is
is
what,
taped
yep,
up.
that
There
part
is a
is.
So if they walk into that building
And the tape.
and they are trespassing, that's on them, in my opinion.
And you're
It
right,
is,
but
it
here's
is.
the point is, if we put up a fence that prevents it, and we don't have to have these arguments,
The
cause some
potential.
stupid kid, exactly.
Cause you can sue anybody today, so I'd rather take that
Exactly.
one
Yeah.
other safety precaution.
Yep.
Scott,
If
what
the
kind of
board
fence are we
agrees.
talking about?
I'm talking a chain link cyclone fence,
That would be part of the cost.
Is
of the
that
claim.
part of our
That's gonna be
cost then?
But
eating
that
our
all
claim.
went-
well,
Is that
I can,
deductible?
Snow fence,
Let's see,
maybe?
snow fence isn't gonna serve a purpose of, well, I guess it serves a purpose of keeping someone out, but if we truly wanna keep people out, you go ahead and put up a fence. It's a rental. I can see what I can do about moving it from your coverage, and maybe I can say, I need to protect the scene before we get an investigation in there. Then I would pay that as an expense to Acuity, not as coming out of your guys' bucket of money. So,
Yeah.
In that case, yeah, we're agreeable likely. I was just gonna say.
I always like when someone pays for something, I have to admit that makes it easier. As a matter of fact, I did get a call from Northland Construction, or North Star?
Yeah,
That's, yeah,
That's
that
the
was what we talked about, that's the restoration contractor.
Okay,
We're talking about the same North Star, right?
Yeah, but there's 2 issues now, like they're doing my restoration, but they also are bidding possibly on our reconstruction, yes?
on the tear down.
On the tear down it
Yeah,
is
they're
on
not
that?
a
Okay.
I wonder if they're doing, like, they're acting as a paper general or something like that, cause I don't think they're a construction division, must not be way up pace.
Right, and again, now, it should not be $100,000 to take that building down. Again, based on size and my past experience. Thing is, sometimes if you get a Northland who hires someone else, you're right, then they're a general contractor and they're gonna want their cut put on top of
Oh,
that.
They're gonna
okay.
hire
Yeah.
PJ
Which
to-
again, isn't a problem if we're under your limits. Once we get over your limits, then they come to you and say, I tell you, all you had is $100,000. In addition for demo, again, that's additional money, that's on top of 1.9. But it's, if we don't get to the 1.9, then that comes out of, your regular money. So the point is, I'd certainly allow them to bid if you feel comfortable that it's a job they can do. This is a large job. With any business, you want large jobs. Large jobs means large money, means
Yeah, this is
my
a
people-
job for a Keller.
there, exactly, a big, or I mean, there are, the condos go up all the time still, there's companies that do put them up, but you definitely want a company that is familiar with and can handle a job like this. The last thing you want is to get the guy with the big heart, and unfortunately, not the big, whole-scale operation to get that job done.
I was thinking
So-
Goodorsey.
Yeah, Godorsey, I know Brian, as a matter of
Does,
fact.
I don't know if Godorsey builds,
Residential?
Or is it just?
Are they just a
I-
commercial?
They put up the hotel over, hotels.
What I can do for you, I mean, I work with Chuck a lot,
Okay.
cause he's tied in with West Opportunity Zone, the mall project and everything else. I can email him when I get back and just say, hey, can you give me some recommendations?
Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be
that'd
great,
be nice.
cause
Yeah.
we have
Cause
no
even if he's
clues.
not, even if
Please.
Godorsey Construction, which was typically more on the commercial building side of the house, can't handle that, my strong suspicion is Chuck will be able to point us in the right direction.
And a
So
lot of people
I'll do that
do,
when I get
yep.
back to the office.
Thank you
here.
so much.
Yeah.
I have a question
Yes.
as far as, like you said, you turned the building back to its original.
Mhm.
What about code changes? If the code says we gotta put a sprinkler system in it,
That,
Firewall.
Yeah.
or firewalls, et cetera.
that I will look
According
into.
to the bylaws, that's part of the insurance.
Well, if it covers it, yeah.
Well, it's in the bylaws.
I would think they'd have to build
Yeah.
a whole code.
Page
Yeah.
10,
Well,
section 2A.
right, well, and that, one of the things, again, on the policy is, that's why I'm looking up, I wanna make sure, there's generally not additional coverage, but what there is, well, let me rephrase that. There can be sometimes additional coverage, which on a loss this size would again be a deck chair on the Titanic. If they make you sprinkle it, the coverage that's usually the extra wouldn't be enough. But code upgrade, it's called ordinance or law, that's generally coverage we're looking at, is generally not covered in a policy, but you guys have, thanks to your agency, you have what's called our gold package, meaning, I believe, and this one, I'm gonna do exactly what I said I wasn't gonna do. I'm not 100% positive, but I'm so close to being 100% positive. I believe you have coverage up to your full limits to put in code upgrade. So, that's not gonna help you if it's 250,000, 2.5 million, but if it's 1.8 million and 300,000 of it is code upgrade, we're all good, because you've got that coverage in that limit. But I did make myself a note, and that I will get back to you on, for 100% instead of the 98.9 I am. I'm fairly positive that would be the case. And again, if they force you to sprinkle, absolutely. A lot of code upgrade is, you have GFI outlets, let's say. I'm pretty sure when you built your unit, you still have to have GFIs. So that's not, there wouldn't be a lot on a newer, even though it's 2006, what are we, 16? 2007? So, we're 20 or 16 years old, 17 years old. You're not gonna have a lot of issues with code other than potentially sprinkler. That one sometimes, on a total loss, sometimes they're not gonna grandfather that, and that's where the contractor then has to work with the city of Wausau. Is it Wausau?
No, Rothschild Village.
Rothschild.
Rothschild.
Village of Rothschild, they will have to work with them to say, here's what we're gonna require if you put your building back up. Again, that's your contractor doing that. You guys don't need to worry about that. You need to say, here's my chosen contractor, and he's gonna put together the plans, or take your plans and go, we got them right here, let's just reprint them, make sure we're up to, again, everything's up to code, and then submit that to to the village and they'll say, yep, let's stamp it away and away we go.
You go back on the board, Craig?
Scott,
Are
is-
you?
Yep.
is
No, the
your
village board.
estimate,
Village
I
board.
mean, you've done a lot of these bigger places and everything, would you say it is going to be a year or 18 months or 2 years? What, just, I mean, I know we can't hold you to a number at all, but
Right.
just
Um,
what your experience is.
I think it's availability of getting
Right,
it.
I would say
understand that.
on your best day, everything going right, it's a year.
Minimally a year.
It's a year.
That's,
9 months to
fair.
a year, let's say.
Okay.
Close, certainly
better.
closer to the year. Now, again, we're dealing with, I live in a condo almost identical to your building. If I close my eyes, I don't have as much stonework on mine, but it's very similar. They're building another one in my development. It's been a long time. Down in my area, it's going on over a year and a half, and I just saw them deliver the drywall yesterday. So,
Yeah, it's product.
and again, that's a different situation. That's a developer who's probably allocating this much funds and this much, and I'm gonna
Stops
wait.
and
I gotta get it done
Right,
right.
yeah.
For you guys, it's, look, let's get a builder who, this is it, this is what they're doing, let's go ahead.
I think
So,
that almost is more of a builder question. to answer.
Absolutely.
It's hard,
Absolutely.
it's almost an unfair question for you to answer.
Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, I can say, 5 years ago, if your house burned
Have
down,
some idea.
6 to 9 months, your house is done.
Totally understand, yeah.
Now I say,
Supply chain and everything
Right,
else, it's a
right.
fair, my point being that I think a builder is in a pretty decent position to know where they're at with supply.
Oh, for sure.
chain. I would be much more concerned if we were having this discussion 2 years ago
Oh,
than we are today.
Yeah.
right.
You know, we just had a financial discussion the other day with, that kind of touched on this, that the building materials are starting to come back. You can get them and the pricing is getting better than it was 2 years ago. The difficulty is on the service side of the house and finding the contractors with the wherewithal and the time to be able to do it.
Right.
So that's just, but I think again, we'll see, I'll see. what-
Right, and a builder knows exactly what he needs to do. If he has a set of plans and nobody's changed let's say their cabinets, everyone's cabinet, it's the original cabinet that was put in there. The builder can say, all right, I know I'm gonna need 8 sets of cabinets. Once we agree that here they are, I can order those.
Yeah.
And if they take, cabinets can take 2 to 4 months to get cabinets on site. But they order that ahead of time, so they know that, okay, when we need them, we've got them. Nobody waits to say, okay, we gotta get cabinets, oh, we should probably order those. That's why the selection of your builder, again, you want someone who's capable and able to handle a project of this size.
So,
Because-
does that mean that once the board has approved a builder, then each one of us homeowners is going to have to meet separately with them to let them know what upgrades we're gonna want in our place, because there'll be a sum certain from the for the unit, I would assume.
Right, the first thing would be just making sure they're on that, if you had LVP as opposed to carpeting, that, in my unit, I had this, then he's gonna have to build it out. If you say, my unit is pretty much exactly as it was, all right, easy breezy, we're gonna put it back that same way. Now you say, I wanna add my things, then that's after we've got here's what it costs to put it as it was.
Okay. But
And you
it'll
would
be
get-
before they go ordering
Correct,
the
correct.
old stuff.
Yep,
Right.
exactly, yep.
So just to play off that question, so, I mean, obviously, they're gonna build up, the building itself
Mhm.
and the units. So if you're an owner that says, I'm very minimalist, nothing fancy, would they order and get that unit done? If you're saying, hey, I'm just fine with the way it was built and I'll deal with the rest later, or do they have to wait for all 8 owners to come?
Again, generally, by the time you're getting to that point, by the time the building's that far along, everybody, they know what they're doing on every single unit.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not that your unit would get done first, you can move back in, hey, you deal.
I'm just saying in terms of ordering supplies.
Right, yeah,
They gotta
no,
bring them
that's
so they're all on
that's
the
simply,
same page.
that's a question for them, But again,
Okay,
it
perfect.
wouldn't be a big issue because by the time that whole building is put back together, everything goes in stages. They don't put up a roof and then, all right, I'm gonna finish this unit. It's electric.
They get the whole building.
Yep, everything comes in stages. So it'll go, you know, rough plumbing, rough electrical, insulation, drywall, finish, and then, but the first thing is the rough construction, getting it under roof, yep.
Mhm.
So will they replace our wall unit air conditioners with central air, or how does that
Not that
work?
one we're gonna build.
No, again, what you have
Is what you get.
is what they're gonna put back. Now, you as a board, you may decide and say, all right, we're going to go to individual units. But then that's where my construction consultant comes in and says, let's make sure we're dealing with the same cost. If it's $100,000 more to put in forced air, heat, and air conditioning units than it would be to put in the radiant heat, I obviously, as an insurance company, don't know for the forced air units. I would say $1.6 million is exactly as it was. If you're looking at it, to change it a little bit, and if you agree on the board that's what you wanna do, that's 1.8, that's $200,000 that unit owners are coming up with. And some of them might say,